Welcome to Silver Dove Films Interview Show. I am Michael Geyer, and I am here with author Bill Myers. Thank you for joining me. That's you.
Yeah.
And you are an author who has written over 100 books.
Yeah.
That amazes me. 100 books.
Me too. How'd that happen?
A lot of work.
And for people to actually buy them.
Yeah, that's the key. They start buying the first one. That encourages you to write the second one, and your publisher to publish the second one.
So it's your fault.
Yes, good news. Good news. They must be good. And of course, you've sold millions of books worldwide. You've won national and international awards. I don't even know, 40, 50 awards. I mean, yeah. What type of books do you write for anybody who may be under a rock who doesn't know who you are?
Kids books, teen books, and grown-up books.
So all audiences.
Yeah, usually I try to keep the pages turning so that you're engaged and you keep reading. But they usually have some sort of Christian faith message in them. I don't want to just write entertainment. I don't want to just do a carnival ride. I want to do a carnival ride where you can get something of substance in it at the same time. Right.
So writing that many books, how do you come up with the storyline or for each and every book? I mean, that's got to be difficult.
I go online and I steal from everybody I can. No, I actually, and I know this sounds real churchy, but I spend about an hour a day just kind of hanging out with the Lord here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in his backyard. It's beautiful.
I keep a notebook, and I mean, I don't look for the ideas. They just sort of come. I'll be worshiping or reading something in Scripture and go, whoa, well, that would be interesting. And then I write it down, and then eventually it turns into a book.
That's amazing. So spending time with the Lord, that is the key.
Well, don't hurt, yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. So what got you started writing way back when?
I told the Lord I would do anything for him but write. That's always a good...
And he made you a writer.
Yeah. No, I was going to be a dentist. I was going to be a dentist, and I had seen 3 movies in my life. I grew up in the Washington State Mountains. Didn't get out much. I had seen Pollyanna, Pinocchio, and The Parent Trap. Mm-hmm. I had just promised the Lord, I was at 18 then, I just promised the Lord that I would say yes to whatever he asked, that I would always say yes to him. And then I went to see the 4th movie of my life, and its title was The Godfather. Mm. And all the blood and massacring and stuff, and my friends jumped up and cheered at the end when everybody's getting killed. And I walked out of that theater just telling God he better pay attention, that there's power in the media, and he should raise people up and get them involved. And every time I told him what he had to do, it sort of bounced back at me. So I changed my major to filmmaking. And the rest is sort of one accident after another. Mm-hmm. I started out as a film director, then started writing scripts, and then eventually, in between the script writing jobs and the film jobs, started writing books.
You're still juggling everything. You are still screenwriting, which you love.
Yeah.
Yes. And are you directing and producing? Or is this
producing? We've just started a children's film company called Ameris Kids. We have a bunch of stuff that we're gearing up to do. Most of them are based on my books just because they're there. And again, when I write for the screen even though I'm writing books. So that seemed like a natural. So that's the producing hat. Directing, not so much anymore, because as you know, directing a film is like running in front of a freight train. And I just soon let somebody else run in front of the freight. I'll yell at them as a producer, but no, it's a lot easier to be a writer and a producer than a director. So,
right.
So there I am.
I know your book, The Wager, was turned into a feature film, and Randy Travis was one of the stars.
Yeah.
You were also an actor in it.
Yeah, I played a homeless guy.
Yeah, it's a great... Holding a sign on the side of the street. What was the sign? What did it say? Something about Jesus coming back? Or what was it?
No, it was... the whole movie was about the Sermon on the Mount. The devil and God have a bet. The devil says nobody can live the Sermon on the Mount, and God says, well, gee, that was kind of some of my best work. And the devil said, well, nobody can live it. And God said, anybody can live it. And the devil says, you want to bet? So they choose Randy Travis to see if he can live it. And there's God stacks the deck a little bit with this homeless angel guy that keeps popping up with Bible verses to remind him.
Funny. I have to say, I really enjoyed the film. Let's take a quick look at a clip.
Not now, Maggie, not like this. What is that? These are two passionate human beings, and I want them to express their passion for each other in this moment.
That's not up for discussion.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I don't know what got into my head. Why did I think I could compete with an Oscar-nominated actor?
That's irrelevant, and you know it.
People in the real world make love as a means of expressing their feelings to each other. Nobody relates to your archaic moral ideology anymore. I'm sorry.
All right, fine. Why don't we shoot your scene? Then we'll shoot what happens next. This one night results in an unwanted child raised with no father. Relate to that.
I'm simply not going to allow your narrow-minded religious agenda to ruin my film.
Let me tell you what's going to ruin your film. The fact that you're a second-rate hack.
Get off my set. You stay here.
One of the things that you do on the side, other than your writing and movies and everything else that you're working on, helping young adults, which I was so impressed when I saw a video on YouTube. But tell us about that, because that's very impressive.
Well, it's one thing to hide behind the computer writing, or even to hide behind the directors, behind the camera, but to really get your hands dirty with people, nothing beats that. So since, gracious me, since I was in college, I've always worked with high school kids and then later college kids, just kind of mentoring and discipling them and doing Bible studies, because that's tough time. Those are treacherous waters. So it's more rewarding. It's more rewarding than the arts, because you're not shaping words, you're shaping lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and seeing your effect, with God's help, but still your effect, because of the time you're investing in these kids and seeing their lives change, I mean, there's no reward greater, I don't think, And
I take that over an Oscar any day.
Yeah, exactly. And, my wife and I, we just watched CNN Heroes, the most recent one this year. And it's amazing the people and the things that they're doing in their lives to help those around them. And we were talking the importance of just doing that, even in your own little community, wherever you can help, wherever you can give back, and then seeing lives change. That's what life is about. And I think most of us spend so much time being selfish and living for ourselves, doing what we want to do. My wife and I have that problem. We're so busy with our businesses and our lives. It's hard to take time away to give back, and that's our priority this year. And you've been doing it for 10 years and you're getting blessed out of it, but I think it's an encouragement for all of us. It's something we all need to be doing.
And there's one thing beyond that, and I'm just learning this now, so I don't have it down quite yet, but it's to put your time with God even ahead of your ministry. I've always had, I used to tease everybody, call myself a servaholic. Ministry, ministry, ministry. But there's something even more important than ministry, and that's abiding. That's spending the time with the Lord. Because, let's face it, He does not need us. He can do it all without us. I think ministry is His excuse for letting us hang out together. So it's real important. Yes, do, absolutely.
That's a great point.
But abide is more important than doing.
What do you have that's recently come out that you're proud of? Or even, what are you most proud of all of your works?
Wow, that's like asking who's your favorite kid.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice try. I'll tell you one that I really that gets a lot of email, and that's a book I wrote called Eli, and it's a retelling of the entire gospel as if Jesus came for the first time today. So it's His birth in the back of a Motel 6 laundry room. He's traveling in a Winnebago with all the disciples. His lynching in the Bible Belt. So it's the whole and the parable. It's all told, but as if it happened today. So that gets a lot of email. I get email from people that say, I've been a Christian all my life and now I get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's exciting.
That's rewarding.
So for grown-up books, that's that. I have a new ebook series called Supernatural, and then it could be Supernatural Warfare, Supernatural Love, and they're just these supernatural stories of miracles that I've interviewed people over the years that I've kept. So those are coming out in ebooks now, and then a teen series that's just been re-released called Forbidden Doors, won the C.S. Lewis Honor Award.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Nice.
And that's out in Barnes & Noble now. And then finally, my favorite book, which is called The God Hater. which it's my favorite, which is probably why it sold less than anything else I've written.
Did it really?
Yeah, well,
Isn't that
so
funny
far,
how that works.
Yeah, but so I like that a lot. And then I'm writing kids stuff. I got right now I'm writing a goofy kids series called TJ and the Time Stumblers, which is all about this poor 7th grade girl who is haunted by 2 time travelers from the 23rd century who are kind of hopelessly in love with her, and she can't get rid of them, and they're invisible, and all this stuff happens. So yeah, I'm keeping really busy.
No, that's great. And I see you're keeping up with technology. You've got a new children's interactive Apple app book.
Bedtime
iPads,
bunny tales.
iPhones. Yes, bedtime bunny tales.
Yeah.
iPads, iPhones. I mean, that's amazing, all that technology and getting it out there everywhere.
Yeah, well, and, you know, like you, what drives me is drawing people closer to Christ. It's whatever draws your audience to Christ is what I'm about. It's what you're about.
Yeah.
It's what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we have Silver Dove Films, because that's kind of our ministry, to give back, create films that are going to make a difference, encourage Christians, but also hopefully be seen by non-Christians, and the film can make a difference, which your books do.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, nothing beats that type of mail from people that say, you know, this has changed my life. It's not like this has entertained me. Anybody can entertain.
Right.
But to do that extra bit of drawing them closer to eternity, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think especially in our time now, because I think, like so many, I'm not a dooms and gloom person, but I do think we're getting close to the end, and now is the time to let people know the truth, because there's a decision to be made.
Yeah.
And there's a new movie that just was recently that came out called The Encounter that I mentioned to you earlier, and Jesus, has an encounter with a group of folks at this diner, and I love it because people need that encounter today. Because we are getting to that crossroads in time where you've got to make a choice.
Yeah.
And hopefully that choice is going to be for Christ and versus the other.
And you know what I like about that storyline? It isn't about religion. It isn't about do's and don'ts. It's about relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we make a real clear distinction between do's and don'ts of religion and the relationship, the love, which is what he
that's
calls
the
us
key.
for. Yeah.
Yes, it's all about the relationship. I think anybody can do do's and don'ts and be religious and not even know Christ, and not even be saved. And so it really is that personal relationship, and the do's and don'ts as far as the fruits bear out naturally because of your relationship, not the other way around.
I've got a bunch of fruit trees in the back, and I've never heard them screaming and groaning trying to bear fruit. They just do it naturally, right? And that's how it is when we're connected. As those branches are connected to Christ, the fruit comes.
Yeah.
And sometimes we try to get the cart before the horse and turn it into a bunch of do's and don'ts, and Christ says, well, we'll get there, but how about if you just hang out with me for a while?
Yeah.
And let me do the work.
Yeah. Love it. What have you not accomplished that you want to accomplish?
I really want to, in these last years, or this next season of my life, put all of our focus on doing children's films and TV projects that aren't heavy-handed preaching, but just season the stories with the presence of God. So that's what we're putting all of our emphasis right now behind this new company called Ameris Kids, and I think that's what I want to go out with. I want to spend the next couple decades, or 4 or 5, doing projects that reach children.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, thank you for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Love what you're doing.
Oh,
love your
thanks.
books. Love everything about your ministry and life, and giving back to the kids.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do, because I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. So we'll see. It's all up to God.
Yes, sir. I hear that.
See what doors he opens and closes, But for more interviews like this, make sure you go to our website if you're not already there and opt in for our email database so that we can email you every time we have other interviews. We're going to be interviewing lots of actors and producers and people in the Christian film industry. You're going to love it, so make sure you opt in, and we'll let you know every time we have a new one to release. But thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
See ya.